Good afternoon. Greetings. I'm Carla, the Cosmic Crone, and it is time for the Divine Feminine Astrology Reading for the Capricorn full moon, the third eclipse in our series of summer eclipses. To recap, there was a penumbral eclipse a month ago, and then an annular solar eclipse in June on the equinox. No, not the equinox, the solstice. And then tonight, in my time zone, Eastern Time, United States, in the first hour of the new day, July 5th, is the full moon, and there will be, I believe it is a partial lunar eclipse. Clouds are predicted for my neighborhood, so I don't know if I'll see it. I will be awake and looking, though. I will be drumming because this full moon calls for that. And so I look at the chart, the goddess chart for the full moon, what's going on with the three Liliths and the various other goddess points in the sky, and possibly some of this as well. The first thing that I see, well, let's just talk. The sun is at 13 degrees Cancer. The moon is at 13 degrees Capricorn, 1338 to be exact. And at 1340 of Cancer is Vesta. So this full moon, the sun is conjunct Vesta, exact conjunction. Now, you know that I've been following Vesta hard for a year, ever since her retrograding conjunction with Algol, the priestess and the dark goddess. And then Venus picked up the dark goddess, and then she picked up Vesta, and they are in a dance. This entire Venus retrograde has the signature of the priestess initiation. And this full moon is activating that because the sun and Vesta are together. Both of them are opposite the moon. And it's part of this eclipse series. So what does that mean for us? First off, I strongly advise you find out where Vesta, Venus retrograde, and these series of eclipses are in your birth chart, your natal chart. I read a chart for someone yesterday who the Venus retrograde happened on her sun. Venus turned retrograde, and the next Venus-Vesta reunion is going to be on her natal Vesta. So this is an incredibly potent time for her. It's potent for me because Venus retrograde happened on my natal Vesta. So I have been following this and carrying this energy and doing some pretty deep inner work as part of my crone initiation, and activating and really embodying the priestess archetype within me. So what does it say for you? It might be significant, it might not. If you're interested in finding out, that's what I do. Get yourself a Divine Feminine Astrology Reading with me, and we will check those things out. I think what it definitely means, what the priestess does, the priestess, she has a lot of facets, and the priestess may have different functions depending. A priestess doesn't usually work alone. She usually works with a sisterhood of priestesses, and we're going back to what we know in ancient times, what we knew about the temple complexes of the goddess, where the high priestess and the priestess, they all did important things: accounting, cooking, gardening, the sacred work, the different cycles and the ceremonies throughout the year, the healing work. And one thing they did, what the priestess does is make sacred. She tends to the sacredness of every aspect of life. So there were women who were working with money and finance and making sure that there were, that there was food and that there was money to build the temples and to clothe the people and to make sure that the needy were cared for. And those priestesses worked in a sacred way. Priestesses who worked with the psychic and spiritual health of the people, going between the mundane world and the divine world. We think of shamans as doing that work now. Well, a priestess can have that intercessory or that between the worlds shamanic function as well. So, and I say this because this is what we need now. We need the priestess alive and awake in all of us to sacralize, make sacred what's going on in the world, to return to the sacred. So we're not at work just like it's an average, any day of the week. But it is the United States' birthday. The United States is a Cancer, and it's a big, noisy holiday with lots of commotion. And I think it is highly appropriate that all of that is toned way down this year, because we need, as a nation, to be in a severe reevaluation of who we are, the principles we were founded on, what our sacred documents, what was it that one of my professors in college in my religious studies talked about? Civil religion. We hold these truths to be self-evident, and God is on our side, and God is on the dead white men's side. It's time to reevaluate all of that and look and say, these are fine words. How can we make them true for everyone? How can we unmask the injustice and the abuse that was codified in these documents and make liberation and freedom? And this word has shown up in my news feed twice today, my email list twice today, sovereignty. Sovereignty says, I am human, I am divine, and I have agency in my own life. And there are many of us who do not have that, not to the degree that we are entitled to it. And I use that word entitled as a birthright, because we are born, because we exist. We are sovereign, and we are all reclaiming that. And so it's time to re-examine the structures in our society that make that a lie, and find the truth, back to the roots of truth. And I believe that the ones who can do that are the priestesses. And that's the women. And this picture behind me, that is a set of women, a circle of women activating their womb wisdom, their womb magic, their power as priestesses. And around them is the sacred masculine. The masculine energy, the warrior energy, is protecting them. And so it is no accident that the sun is activating the priestess in all of us right now. And it's not just about what kind of body you have. You identify as man or woman. This priestess energy is within all of us. So here it is. And interestingly enough, the moon is in Capricorn, the sign of the state and the institution. The other thing that's happening in Capricorn right now, not quite, everything is so big that everything that's in Capricorn is actually part of this full moon energy. So we have triple conjunction right now: Pluto, Jupiter, and Pallas Athene. And they are all representing Jupiter expansion. Jupiter is like the United States. Jupiter could be Uncle Sam as an archetype. Pluto is death, transformation, change. Going into the deep place, into the foundations. Being willing to release and let go of that which does not work. And you can make a case that this nation was built on that. And yet it was built on certain assumptions that have escalated and intensified in the 250-ish years that we've been a nation. And the injustices have compounded. And so Pluto is here. The United States in the next, I think in 2023 or 2024, the United States is right now in a Pluto return, and it is exact, something like 28 Capricorn, I think, is happening in the next, well, before the election after this one. So it's on. It is on right now. And what's going to happen? Well, if our work in this world includes dismantling patriarchy and dismantling racism and dismantling ecocide, dismantling the murder of all our relations upon this earth, then we need to take this Pluto return very seriously as an opportunity and realize that we have to get comfortable with the change, with the changes. And I think what I also see is magic. I believe it will take magic and spiritual power to make this happen. It won't happen through the stroke of the pen, changing of laws. The laws won't matter that much. Universal law will matter, spiritual law will matter, moral law will matter. But the laws, those documents, the religious, the documents, the codex of civil religion, it won't matter so much. We will reshape those documents, if they have any life in them at all, according to these other greater laws, the laws of love, the laws of the universe, the laws of spirit, the laws of ethics and morality. And no religion has a lock on what that morality is. That will be destroyed. So that's like the super energy of the full moon, Sun, Vesta, the moon, and all that stuff going on in Capricorn. There's something else. There's a couple of other things that are going on, several things. Speaking of, in Pisces, there's a conjunction between Ceres and Nessus. The United States just completed, in the last 3 years, a Nessus return, the second Nessus return. And you all have heard me talk enough to know that I think Nessus is very important. We all need to reckon with our natal Nessus, because it is where the lineage and history of abuse comes up, shows up in our own lives to be healed. We do that healing in our own lives for the generations. And the United States is having a Nessus moment. And the seeds were planted, the groundwork has been laid in the last well, during the current administration from like 2016. Yeah, from now. Their series, Our Mother, Our Earth, the Great Nourisher. She stands for nourishment, but she also stands for fury. She has her dark side. Her dark side includes when she is depressed and infuriated and outraged because her daughter has been stolen. She will let the world die. She will withhold food. She will withhold life. She has the power to withhold life. And so here she is at this Nessus moment for all of us, individually, personally, and nationally, and structurally. And these guys are in a trine to the sun and Vesta, and in a sextile to the moon. So the moon is activating that energy right now. So my advice to everyone listening, and actually my priestess sisterhood and we're all tapping into this. We're doing a retreat in place this weekend during this moon. And I am advising other women. The women whose charts I've seen in the past couple of weeks, they've all got this moon active, and this energy is active. And I said, don't make any big plans. Go to ground. Go deep. Listen. Stuff's going to be coming up over the next between now and the equinox, and now is really important. So be with the earth. In the northern hemisphere, it's a good time to be with the earth. It's high summer for us. So be in your garden, be in a park, be at the seashore, be away from people. And I'm not talking about virus. I am talking about interference. Tell your family. Now, maybe you have to have a barbecue with your immediate family today, but tomorrow, tell them to get lost. Be quiet with them. And if you have young children that you need to be with them with this kinds of consciousness. If you can't be by yourself because there's no one to be with the children, then bring them in. Bring them into the closeness of the earth, the closeness of watching things grow, of looking at the bugs, of tracing the hop of a frog through the grass, the dragonflies. Be as close to this earth of ours, because she absolutely needs us as Nessus, as she's nourishing us. Nessus is doing the work inside of us. Our ancestors are coming up, and this is bursting. I mean, this is what is happening in our streets. The ancestors of slaves, the immigrants, the people who came here chased by what was chasing them in Europe, and the ones who were stolen and brought here in cargo hulls, and together they all mixed here. And then, the white ones went this way, and the dark ones, were kept down. And this is Nessus work for us as a country and each of us individually. And if we are to do this, we need the earth to help us. And we need nourishment. The nourishment of nature, the nourishment, the compost of old grief, of discomfort. We need to tap into that web, the web of life that is in the surface of the earth. It's big work, and instead of bombs bursting in air, we get to go to ground. This chart is saying you can do that. this virus is saying, I'll help you any way I can. This is the thing about the dark goddess. I haven't talked about the dark goddess with the virus much. I think there's been a lot to process for all of it. But it's like Demeter. Demeter, the virus is natural. The virus is not an enemy. The virus is doing what it does. And however it came here, yeah, we need to change our behavior in response to it. We need to pay attention to it. We need to understand. But is this how? Is this how? This blend of electronics and smartphones and instant news around the world and polarization that's happening from this way that you and I are communicating right now, and then this microscopic thing that enters our lungs and wreaks havoc and spreads silently when we don't even know we're sick. Is that how we dismantle patriarchy? Wow, it's our souls. Michael Meade talks about this. He says the soul doesn't care what kind of hell it has to put you through to bring you to the wholeness of your soul. Union. That's initiation. Well, that was a rabbit hole, but yes, eclipses are portals, and portals can turn into rabbit holes. What else have we got going? I'm going to mention the Eris. Eris is a planet that has she's in Aries, and she is been in a very long square to Pluto. And so that's active right now. Eris is the planet of disruption and discord. And don't we have that going on? Don't you see her popping gum with an iPhone, sending out a meme and laughing, and saying, oh, just look, 500 comments and they're all fighting. Isn't this fun? She has her role to play. And she's also in a trine. She's in a square. She is punching this transformation that Pluto is doing in Capricorn, but she is in a trine with the Lilith asteroid. So that energy is the disowned feminine. Lilith asteroid is the disowned feminine who is retrograde in Sagittarius. And this disowned feminine, activated by Eris, is getting stirred up. And what that is, well, first off, it could represent a lot of things. It can, inside of each of us, we're hurting. She's been, when something is disowned, it's repressed, it's suppressed, it gets layered over with habit, convention, behavior, the way things are supposed to be, and what's wrong with me, and why am I not good enough, and all of that bullshit, and then it gets twisted as desire, because our desires often are trying to break through this repression. Our desires are holy and sacred, but they grow all bent and twisty through the pressure of suppression. And they come out sideways. And usually the first one we attack is ourselves, but we might attack our other women, our sisters, our mothers, things get twisty. But then you realize, I can't live like this anymore. I am going to heal this thing if it kills me. Back to the soul. The soul doesn't matter what you have to go through to get healed. And the minute you look at the disowned feminine inside of you, you realize, oh my fucking God, she's a goddess. And she's not disowned anymore. She is not broken. She is the most powerful part of you. And you will find a way for her to shine. And so Eris is in there stirring all that up. And when the disowned feminine inside of you wakes up, she joins Eris right now at this time of full moon. All the things I've been talking about. One more thing I want to talk about, and these things are kind of related, because just as Lilith asteroid is the disowned feminine inside of us, personalized, there is another planet, and sometimes I always look and see what she's up to, and sometimes I don't talk about her because she's kind of a can of worms. But I'm going to talk about Psyche today, because my friend Marina just did a tarot workshop, and I watched it this afternoon, working with the Mythic Tarot, which tells the myth of Eros and Psyche and Aphrodite, or Venus, as part of the Cups suit in tarot. So reach out to Marina if you're interested in that. Marina Lavage, you can find her. I'm not sure where. I guess the Divine Rebellion group is a place to look for her, or her page, or marinalavage.com. You might can still sign up and get in on that for a couple of more days. Anyway, she's telling this whole story, and I love this story because it's a story of women's initiation. And it is a story that shows up in myths and folk tales throughout history all over the world. But this is the ancient one from Greco-Roman times. So I'm just going to tell you a brief little part of it, because right now Psyche is in conjunction with Algol at the moment of this full moon. Algol is the demonized goddess. And she is the goddess out there that the patriarchy relegated to her own special hell. Goddess, you will go to hell. You will be killed, genocide. And we tend to associate her with the who cut off people's heads, like Kali or Sekhmet. But in fact, she is all goddess who has been shown as consort of devil, who needed to be disowned and destroyed culturally, universally, in order for the monotheistic patriarchal male god to take over the past 3,000 to 5,000 years, a couple of thousand years. I mean, Christianity 2,000 years ago did it in a really big way, and Islam took there, later. Judaism was before that. So all of these monotheistic religions began to build patriarchy by suppressing, oppressing, and demonizing feminine power, divine and human. And so Psyche is making a conjunction with Algol at this time. So the myth of Psyche is she is a hapless young woman, a princess, who is so, through no fault of her own, she is born with extraordinary beauty. And at this time, people, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty and the erotic and pleasure, sexuality. And here is this woman who was born with beauty to started bringing the offerings to Venus's temple. They would bring them and lay them at Psyche's feet. And Psyche's like, what did I do to this? And then Venus gets jealous, and Venus gets mad. And Venus says, you must destroy her. And she assigns her son Eros, or aka Cupid, she assigns him to kill, or to cause The story continue with Psyche being hapless. She's sacrificed to this monster. She's got this pissed off at her, so that causes her no end of trouble. And then Eros accidentally pricks himself with his own arrow and falls in love with Psyche. He has to keep it secret from his mother, or else everybody's in trouble. And so he basically takes possession of Psyche. She does not have sovereignty at any point in this life. She is in a palace where invisible hands, magical hands, give her everything she needs, prepare her food, and she can only make love with her husband, Cupid, or Eros, in the dark at night. She is never allowed to see his face. She has what I assume is a hot erotic relationship with him, but she cannot know him. Really, we could go way deep into that, which I'm sure Marina does when she does work with people in tarot on these readings. And I'm going to do some more work with this because I took a look. I said, where's Eros? I don't usually read Eros but I looked, and guess what? Eros is also conjunct Algol right now. Eros is at Sedna, another dark goddess of the underworld, is at 28. Algol's at 26. Psyche's at 25. And I thought, ooh, when do Psyche and Eros have a conjunction? Well, I did a little research, and they had an exact conjunction at 19 Taurus at the solar eclipse, solstice, new moon, solar eclipse. So they've already had their union at that power point, and they're still moving through. And I'm just going to keep an eye on them and see what they do during this whole cycle where we've got Venus and Vesta and the dark goddess, and now Cupid or Eros and Psyche. So Psyche stands for the Eric Francis refers to her as the wound you believe you cannot heal. And the key word there is belief. Because I believe Psyche represents these coping mechanisms that we come up with, these things that we start when we are trying to make sense of the crazy world that we've been born into and the insane adults that are somehow responsible for our survival, and the traumas and tribulations that we face as innocents and with extraordinary gifts. But they don't know, it doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't do us any good because adults are crazy, and so are most everybody else. And so we figure things out, and then we spend our entire adult life trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with us. And so it starts tapping into Lilith, our disowned feminine. And here, this is coming up with the dark goddess, the demonized goddess. Well, maybe the demonized goddess is the demon side of Venus, because this story of Psyche and Eros is the dark side of Venus. She is not the queen of heaven. She is the bitch of heaven. And she is jealous, and she will do anything to destroy this one, this Psyche. What does that mean to us? Psyche, the story of Psyche is ultimately a story of initiation. Venus takes on the appearance of a jealous goddess who is hoping to destroy this one who is indestructible. We are indestructible. And our work through our work is to have initiation. And this is the work of the priestess again. The reason the priestess is so important right now is that all these priestesses must begin conducting initiation. And that's the work we have to do. We have to go through the tasks. And there are many entities, many professions playing that role. Some of us are in spiritual healing of one kind or another. Some of us are bona fide professional priestesses. And all of these things, and we all play a role in that role of initiation, and consciously undergo our own initiations, and then guide the young people or our sisters and our brothers at whatever age. I work with women, and we are going through all the initiations. You know, at midlife, we go back to our virgin initiation, our maiden initiation, and then we move through the initiations all the way into crowndom. So this is how we begin to reshape the world. So the initiation involves the descent, the hopelessness, the trip to the underworld, the impossible task. The impossible task, I'm in the middle of it right now, and some of you with me, we are working with coaches who are saying that thing you believe you cannot heal, this is how you heal it. This is how you reclaim your power. And so we do this work in an embodied way. We do it with our minds. We do it with our wombs. We do it with our bodies. Eros plays a role. Eros is the creative impulse, desire, that spark. And Eros is masculine in this story. And so it is that spark that ignites. And he abandons Psyche because she doesn't play by his rules. And Psyche wanders through the dark at the mercy of this bitch goddess up on Olympus who is saying, how can I kill you? Well, ultimately Psyche does have to die. But that's only so that she can be reborn, embracing her divinity, embracing the full power of her desire, and finally able to meet with her lover, her desire, her Eros, as an equal. That's a much bigger story that can bear much deeper parsing. But here's a taste of it. This is all active right here in this whole eclipse cycle. It's almost more than we can handle. It's like if you tried to run all this energy through your body by yourself, you would probably fry. You would fry your circuits. So don't fry your circuits. Do so gently. Do so lying upon the earth. Do so, maybe there's a crystal that you can run the energy through and ground it to the earth. If you know how to work with your womb, do that. Be with the elements, be with water. It's Cancer, be with water. Cancer and Capricorn, be with water, be with earth. That's what I got to say right now. It's time. It's time for me to go settle in. He's up to, and I will. It's so good to be with you. I had no idea how potent this reading was. I'm gonna go. I started my morning at 7 a.m. I was out in the ocean. I was swimming, but first I spent an hour looking through binoculars, watching the seals feed out of the water, and the seals were catching them and chewing them up. It's amazing. And there was also a fox on the street of the beach there are houses there, and in someone's driveway right in front of their house was a little fox scratching itself like a puppy. And it saw me looking at him as I drove by, and he said, "Whoops, human," and he went running, loping off down the alley. It's amazing. So, yeah. I don't want to leave you. I love you. But I'll see you. I'll be back. Maybe I'll even be back tomorrow. Have a beautiful time. Really tap into this moon. It's a good moon. So strong. And let it heal you. Let it open up new avenues of inspiration. I love you. Bye-bye.